Hi, so this presentation is mainly about calories and macronutrients and how we can lose weight, but also maintain weight, gain weight, and just having more of a knowledge about nutrition. So let's start. So calories. Calories supply our body with the same amount of energy. However, they differ in how they affect our health and ability to stay on track with your diet. So for example, if I was going to have my target of 1600 calories per day, for example, and if I had those calories through having KFC and chocolate and crisps, I'm going to feel quite different to if I had a day full of chicken and tuna and porridge and all those healthy, nutritious foods. So a calorie is a calorie, but it is quite different. So a calorie doesn't quite explain the whole story. So a calorie measures the amount of energy a particular food or beverage contains. So remember, there are calories in our drinks. Whether from carbs or fats or proteins, one dietary calorie contains about 4.2 joules of energy. So all calories are created equal, by the same as 100 grams of feathers is the same as 100 grams of stones. So food and its macronutrient composition, we'll talk more about macronutrients in a bit, can influence how hungry or full we feel, our metabolic rate, our brain activity, and hormonal response. So imagine eating 4 cups of broccoli in one go. I'm not going to tell you to do this at all, but I'm just using this as an example. It would take a lot of time and effort to chew, but its high fiber content would leave you feeling much fuller than it would eating 1/2 of a donut. So there are the same amount of calories in 4 cups of broccoli as half of a donut. If we did have half a donut, we're more likely going to eat the other half. So it's essentially 8 cups of broccoli. So a calorie is not just a calorie. We want to think about the quality of that calorie, the quality of the diet, the quality of the diet to increase our diet and our fat loss. So going on to the calories. So for example, you might have a target of 1600 calories a day. Within that, you want to think about your macronutrients. You want to think how those calories are made up. What do that 1600 calories look like? If you're having 1600 calories and you are having, the high fat, the high sugar foods of those 1600 calories, you have to remember that you're going to feel very differently from that as to 1600 calories of a diet with your lean proteins and your fruits and your veggies. And your carbs and your healthy fats. So we need to think about macronutrients. So macronutrients are the nutrients we need in larger quantities that provide us with energy. In other words, your fat, your protein, and your carbohydrate. Micronutrients, which you might have heard of, are your vitamins and your minerals, which are just as important, but consumed in very small amounts, and we'll talk about them further down the line. So counting macronutrients is similar to counting calories, but we're thinking about where the calories come from for each of those macronutrients. So within your 1600 calories, there's a percentage of amount of the fat, the protein, the carbohydrates. So the acceptable macronutrient distribution range is you can have 45 to 65% of your daily calories from carbohydrates. An average person will have about 50 to 55%. 20 to 35% from fats, usually probably about 25%, and 10 to 35% from protein. Again, average person, 20 to 25%. To lose weight, you need to find the ratio that you can stick with and works for you. There is so much depth we can go into this, but at the moment, we want to think simple. We want to use an app such as MyFitnessPal, or you can use a Fitbit tracker to track your food. And using that, you can look at the analysis, a breakdown of your carbs, your fats, and your proteins within your daily diet, so you know your macronutrient range of each day, and will set yourself some ranges that you can keep to. So what foods are high in protein? Foods high in protein, your animal meat, your beef, your chicken, your lamb, your pork, your turkey. Some are going to have higher fats than others. Your dairy products, your eggs, your beans, your lentils, your nuts, your quinoa, or seafood. These foods are high in protein, but remember, these foods still have an element of carbohydrates and fats within them, which we need to be aware of. And again, we can use these free apps such as MyFitnessPal to be able to look at that. Foods high in carbohydrates. So you've got your bread, your cereals, your pastas, your baked goods. Again, your beans and your lentils, your grains, your fruits, your starchy vegetables. Now with carbohydrates, we can go deeper into this, but we're not going to yet. You can have your carbohydrates, which are more refined, your whole grain. So we want to be looking at the whole meal versions of the carbohydrates, the whole grains in their most natural form. So at least the least amount of processing that food has gone through as possible. So the more processing the food has gone through, the more it's not going to be as good for your body, and it's not going to give you as much dietary nutrition. Foods high in fats, you've got your different kinds of fats, which again we can go into in more detail, but at the moment we're just going to think about what foods are high in fats. You've got your avocados, your egg yolks, your fatty fish, full fat dairy, mayonnaise, your nuts, nut butters, but you can have fats which are good for your body, and we need to have fats within our diet as well, which again we'll go into. But at the moment we just need to know which kind of foods are within those boundaries of carbohydrates, fats and proteins. So diet quality is so important. To lose weight, we need to create a calorie deficit. So we eat fewer calories than we burn. So we need to get to know our balance. We need to know when we're eating more calories than we need to for that weight gain. So as soon as you start eating more calories than you will gain weight. And as you start to eat less calories than you burn, you will start to lose weight. And yes, to maintain weight, you're having that balance. So you have to force your body to draw its energy from its stores. Once you do create a calorie deficit, it's important to think about the types of foods you're eating, as some are more diet friendly and nutritious than others. That goes back to my initial, a day of Big Mac, KFC eating chocolate, high fats, high food, sugars, as opposed to your day of your chickens, your whole grain foods, your tuna, all those healthy foods which are as unprocessed as possible. So here are some foods and macronutrients to focus on, to think about. So when you're choosing your foods, you want to choose nutrient dense foods. So finding foods that are nutrient dense, that have got a lot of nutrients in it, but are relatively low in calories. So these nutrient dense foods pack fiber, lean protein, healthy fats, vitamins and minerals. So for example, these are your dairy foods, your beans, your legumes, your whole grains, your fruits, your vegetables, lean meats and fish. These are your foods that are going to be filling your body with goodness. So many of these foods are rich in fiber, and they also contain a high percentage of water. So water and fiber can help increase the feeling of fullness, which can help you eat fewer total calories throughout the day. High protein foods. So proteins promoting a feeling of fullness. It helps repair our muscles. It takes more calories to digest compared to carbs or fats. When you're looking at high protein foods, you want to look for lean options. You can also get your protein from plant-based sources as well. You can also, if you're finding it hard with your protein content, you can look at protein shakes or meal replacement, but you need to be aware of what is involved in those protein shakes, because again, there can be quite a lot of carbohydrates. And we also want to look for the most natural form of protein as we can. So protein shakes and meal replacements, drinks can help you, but you want to make sure that you're looking to get into your diet those natural forms of animal-based or plant-based protein sources. So a high protein diet can benefit your weight loss. I see great results with people who are starting to reduce their carbs a little bit, reduce their fats, and trying to increase a high protein diet. That doesn't mean that you need to have 40% of protein in your diet. Quite often when people have 20% of protein in their daily diet, they find benefits. So here are a few basic guidelines for following a high protein diet. So keep a food diary. Use a food diary. I suggest 3 days a week. At least it educates us and it keeps us on track. I tend to use MyFitnessPal, but there are many other apps out there. Calculate your protein needs. So you can do this by multiplying your weight in pounds by 0.6 or 0.7 grams, or your weight in kilograms by 1.2 to 1.6 grams to work out how many grams of protein that you need per day. You want to have protein in every meal. So you want to be trying to keep your protein, your meals are based around protein, because this will promote weight loss, muscle maintenance, and help a better overall health. Include both animal and plant proteins in your diet. So eating a combination of both will make your diet more nutritious. Choose high quality protein sources. So focus on your fresh meats, your eggs, your dairy, and other proteins rather than your processed meats like bacon and luncheon meats. And consume well-balanced meals. So balance the high protein foods with vegetables, fruits, and other plant foods at every meal. So the foods you eat can impact your fat loss efforts. So you might be working really hard to have 1,600 calories a day, but if the type of foods that you are not eating are not nutritionally dense, it is not going to help your weight loss and your fat loss. So summarize, consume foods that are nutrient dense and high in protein, and limit foods that contain a combination of carbs and fats, as this combination makes them addictive. So the bottom line is macronutrients referred to carbs, fats, and protein. These are the 3 basic components of every diet. As you start to take notice of the macronutrient distribution of your diet, it may be that your ranges, they're not within the acceptable range. It might be currently, you might have a high range of fat or high range of protein, a high range of carbs. It might be your protein is really low, and that's going to affect your weight loss journey. So just remember your acceptable macronutrient distribution range of your daily calories are 40 to 65% from carbs, 20 to 35% from fats, 10 to 35% from protein. To lose weight, you need to find a ratio that you can stick with and works for you. So we're all individuals and it's going to work differently for everyone. So if any of this, you're thinking, oh, I'm not too sure, I want to discuss it a bit more, then send me an email, pop me a text, talk to me about it. And we can create goals for you. You can write them down. You can have them in your kitchen. You can have them on MyFitnessPal. If you're using the online program, we can make it work for you. So just keep talking, or it might be you want to go through this presentation again. You might want to mute me and then just go through the slides so you can read through and take it in. But well done for getting this far. It's really important to think about macronutrients. It will make a difference. And even though it might seem tedious at the time, it will pay off. Thank you.